In the 1960s, twin-engine airplanes were killing pilots at an alarming rate. Not because both engines failed, because one did. The moment a single engine quit on a conventional twin, pilots faced a terrifying physics problem. Asymmetric thrust would violently yaw the aircraft toward the dead engine, drop below a critical airspeed, and the plane would snap roll inverted faster than any human could react. They called it the VMC rollover. It happened in seconds. Recovery was nearly impossible. Cessna's engineers believed they had the solution. They would build a twin so safe that engine failures became non-events. Their creation was the 337 Skymaster, a revolutionary push-pull design with both engines mounted on the centerline. No asymmetric thrust, no critical engine, no VMC death spiral. The FAA was so impressed they granted it an entirely separate pilot rating. But here's what nobody anticipated. This aircraft, designed specifically to save lives, would help trigger a catastrophe that nearly destroyed Cessna entirely. The company that built more airplanes than anyone in history was forced to shut down production and lay off hundreds of workers. The safest twin-engine plane ever conceived had become part of a crisis that almost killed its creator. Picture a pilot moments after takeoff, both engines roaring, the twin climbing steadily. Then the left engine quits. In a conventional twin, what happens next is pure physics nightmare. The working engine keeps pushing from one side while the dead engine creates drag on the other. The aircraft yaws violently toward the failed engine. The wing on the dead side loses lift and drops. If the pilot doesn't respond perfectly within seconds, the airplane snap rolls inverted and plummets toward the ground. They called this the VMC rollover. Velocity minimum controllable, the speed below which no amount of pilot skill could save you. Here's what made conventional twins so treacherous. They were sold as the safer option. Two engines meant redundancy. Lose one, fly home on the other. But that promise concealed a deadly reality. When one engine failed at low altitude, the physics of asymmetric thrust turned that supposed safety advantage into a death trap. Pilots lost approximately 80% of their climb performance on a single engine. Many conventional twins couldn't even maintain altitude. The VMC rollover claimed lives with brutal efficiency. It happened in under 1 second. Recovery was nearly impossible below 3,000 feet, but Cessna's engineers refused to accept this as inevitable. Their solution was radical. Instead of mounting engines on the wings, where asymmetric thrust could kill, they aligned both power plants on the aircraft's centerline. One engine in front pulling, one in back pushing. The push-pull configuration. The result was the 337 Skymaster. First flown in 1961, it entered production in 1963 with a design that fundamentally eliminated the VMC problem. When an engine failed, there was no yaw, no deadly roll. The aircraft simply lost power, but remained completely controllable. The FAA recognized this achievement by granting the Skymaster its own pilot class rating. No other twin qualified pilots for the 337. It was that different. The numbers proved the concept worked. Conventional twins struggled to maintain 4,000 to 6,000 feet on one engine. The Skymaster could climb to nearly 19,000 feet with an engine feathered. The military ordered over 500 for Vietnam combat missions. Cessna eventually produced nearly 3,000 civilian units. On paper, they had solved aviation's deadliest twin-engine problem. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The safest twin ever built would fail to improve actual safety statistics. And that paradox would help trigger a catastrophe. The AOPA Air Safety Foundation ran the numbers on the Skymaster. What they discovered defied all expectations. Despite eliminating the VMC rollover entirely, the 337's overall accident rate was no better than conventional twins. The airplane designed to save lives wasn't actually saving more lives. How is this possible? The answer reveals something uncomfortable about human nature. Pilots flying conventional twins remained hyper-vigilant. They trained constantly for engine failures. They stayed spring-loaded for emergencies. Skymaster pilots grew complacent. Freed from asymmetric thrust worries, they relaxed. Accidents simply shifted elsewhere. Fuel mismanagement, weather encounters. The 337 accumulated fuel-related accidents at nearly twice the rate of other Cessna twins. But the problems ran deeper than pilot behavior. The Skymaster earned a brutal reputation as a maintenance nightmare. That rear engine ran hot, especially during taxi when airflow couldn't reach it. Pilots sometimes took off without realizing the back engine had overheated and quit. The aircraft's tightly packaged systems created headaches for mechanics. Hydraulic gear doors, complex fuel routing, everything crammed into a Cessna 210 fuselage. One mechanic's verdict became legendary among owners. Asked about Skymaster maintenance, he responded with 2 words: wallet builders. Then came the catastrophe that nearly destroyed Cessna entirely. Product liability lawsuits were drowning the entire general aviation industry. Between 1983 and 1986, Beech Aircraft alone defended over 200 lawsuits, averaging $530,000 each to fight. The shocking truth: investigators found none of those accidents resulted from manufacturing defects. It didn't matter. Liability insurance costs soared to $70,000 per aircraft sold. Industry production collapsed from over 17,000 planes in 1978 to under 1,000 by 1994. Training aircraft vanished from the market entirely. Cessna posted its first annual loss in company history in 1983. General Dynamics acquired the company in 1985. Then, on May 28, 1986, CEO Russ Meyer made the announcement that shocked aviation. Cessna would halt all piston aircraft production immediately. 900 workers lost their jobs. Meyer later called it the blackest time of his career. His words carried devastating weight. Imagine going to work every day knowing you were going to lay off more people. The company that built more airplanes than anyone in history had stopped building airplanes, and the industry's safest twin would never fly off a Cessna assembly line again. Russ Meyer refused to accept defeat. As chairman of the General Aviation Manufacturers Association, he launched a relentless campaign targeting Congress. His message was simple: pass liability reform and Cessna would return. The promise carried weight because Meyer had credibility. He wasn't just lobbying. He was making a commitment. The industry joined forces behind him. The Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, the Machinists Union representing factory workers, Kansas politicians led by Senator Nancy Kassebaum. Together, they painted a devastating picture. Over 100,000 jobs lost, an entire pilot training pipeline collapsing, American aviation manufacturing dying while lawyers prospered. On August 17, 1994, President Clinton signed the General Aviation Revitalization Act. The legislation was remarkably brief. just 3 pages. But those pages transformed everything. Manufacturers gained protection from lawsuits involving aircraft older than 18 years. The endless liability exposure that had crippled the industry finally had limits. Meyer kept his promise. In 1996, Cessna broke ground on a new facility in Independence, Kansas. The first new Cessna 172 Skyhawk rolled off the line that November. The 182 Skylane followed in 1997. The 206 Stationair returned in 1998. The resurrection was real. Within 5 years, 25,000 new aerospace jobs emerged. The Department of Labor estimated 3 additional support jobs for every manufacturing position. The Cessna 172 eventually became the most produced aircraft in history. Over 45,000 delivered worldwide. But here's what Meyer didn't bring back. Notice what's missing from that list. No twins. Not the 310. Not the 340. Not the 414. And certainly not the Skymaster. Think about this for a moment. The aircraft specifically designed to solve twin-engine safety problems remained permanently discontinued. Cessna had built nearly 3,000 Skymasters, proving the Centerline Thrust concept worked. The military had flown them in combat. Devoted owners still swore by them decades later. None of it mattered. The safest twin ever conceived died with the liability crisis and never returned. Today, Cessna produces single-engine pistons and business jets. No piston twins have left their factory since 1980. The push-pull revolution that promised to transform multi-engine aviation simply ended. A new Cessna 172 cost $25,000 in 1980. Today, that same aircraft exceeds $400,000. Progress came at a price. Innovation survived, but not all innovations. Some solutions, no matter how elegant, don't survive the collision between engineering and economics. The Skymaster remains one of aviation's greatest paradoxes. An aircraft engineered to eliminate a specific cause of death that didn't actually reduce overall fatalities. A design so innovative it earned its own pilot rating, yet so complex it earned a reputation for draining wallets. A safety revolution that became swept up in a liability crisis that nearly killed its own manufacturer. Today, thousands of Skymasters still fly. Devoted owners swear by their centerline thrust and forgiving single-engine handling. They accept the maintenance demands as the price of redundancy. And they're not wrong. When that engine quits, the Skymaster won't snap roll and kill you. But the broader lesson cuts deeper. Sometimes solving one problem creates others. Sometimes innovation generates consequences that dwarf the original challenge. Cessna built the safest twin in history, watched it contribute to a crisis that shut down their entire piston line, then returned to production making only singles. The aircraft designed to prevent deaths couldn't prevent the death of an entire product category. This story reveals something fundamental about aviation, about innovation, and about the unexpected ways that progress can turn against itself. But Cessna's tale didn't end with the Skymaster. Subscribe to discover what happened when they aimed even higher.